Fridays at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome. It's a nice Monday morning, and we're talking NFL Combine, because there were some big-time performers. There were some guys that probably got into the radar of a lot of NFL teams, but probably a lot of the 49ers, took notice of this as well, as the front office was there, talent evaluators looking at these guys, and there were some big-time performances. It's time to go over all those.
It's time to go over as many as we possibly can, because there was a handful of them, man. There was a lot of guys doing a lot of crazy things and some impressive things, and we were live on day one while the combine was wrapping up, and the receivers and quarterbacks were out there doing their thing. Tight ends had done stuff earlier in the day, and we were giving those live reactions there. But let's start with the running back room first and foremost, who went out there, and some guys put up some impressive numbers and did some impressive things. Pierre Strong out of South Dakota State ran that fastest 40 time out of that group at a 4.37, tied with Isaiah Pacheco out of Rutgers. But specifically, there were a couple of guys that, the Niners came out. It came out that they were talking to a couple of these guys, but one of them was James Cook, brother of Dalvin Cook, and from Georgia.
Yeah, he's smooth. That's the one thing you could see, in his drills and things on field, was he was smooth, and then he put together a 4.42 time. He's actually, about the same speed as his brother. His brother is pretty close to the same speed. I believe his brother actually ran like a 4.49. So Dalvin Cook was, one of those explosive guys. We have James Cook, who has a better vertical than Dalvin Cook, showing the explosivity. But I think the way that he just moved about the field in these drills, the smooth fluidity, he looked really good. I do think that he's somebody the 49ers would target. The question is, where's he going to land in the draft? I mean, as time goes on, we'll have a better idea of where these guys are going to be. We do know almost every running back is looking second round on. There's just not a running back that is a Najee Harris type. I know they're trying to build up Breece Hall to be a Najee Harris type guy that could go in the first round. I don't think there will be a running back that goes in the first round unless it's late in the last 10 picks of the first round. So, I mean, all these guys could be available to the 49ers in the second round. How many make it to 61 is another story. But I think James Cook, the value that he would bring to the team is important. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's very smooth on his carries. He played in a scheme where, he's one cut and go. So James Cook, possible 49ers guy, definitely made some people take notice of him right now.
Oh, and did some things to elevate that draft stock and make it a little bit harder if you're the 49ers to try and get this guy in this draft with what he did at the combine. Another guy who did some good things was Breece Hall. Breece Hall came out before, I'm the best running back in this draft, goes out and runs a 4.39 and looked pretty incredible in every single drill that he was a part of. So yeah, Breece Hall just elevated his stock, and definitely not a guy the Niners are going to probably be able to get now at this point, because he's going to be at the very worst, probably early second round, I would imagine.
Well, you never say never. You don't know what they're going to garner for Jimmy Garoppolo or another move that they can make.
True.
I don't think that they're going to get him. I do like Breece Hall, and I like his capabilities. I think if you were looking to improve off like a Trey Sermon, for instance, if you wanted to have a bigger back, I don't think that's what they're looking to do. But if you did, he would make sense. He has an upright running style. He plays a little high. Doesn't have as much of a forward lean as I like, but I do like him as a running back. I think the 4.39 was a great number for him. I think he will vault up some draft boards, and I think he's going to be a lot of people's number one running back. So if you're looking for a guy that can carry the ball, consistently 15 to 20 times a game, I think Breece Hall will be somebody they're interested in. But you're right. At 61, the 49ers are not going to be going with Breece Hall. He's going to go somewhere, in the 35 to 40 range, unless somebody gets a wild hair up their butt and goes up in the first round and grabs him.
And that is always a possibility in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
We see this happen all the time. A guy that both of us like, Kenny Walker III out of Michigan State, ran a 4.38, so he had himself a nice day as well. Kyron Williams was kind of the one that was a little bit of a disappointment in the running back room. A lot of people have him higher. Some people have him as high as their number one running back coming into this draft, 4.62 40. Definitely disappointed. Definitely doesn't have a 4.62 speed on film. And, there's negatives and positives all the time across the board. This may not scare anyone away, but of every running back at the draft combine this whole week, he was the slowest of the group.
Yeah, the good news is it doesn't show up on film. He doesn't look like a 4.6 guy on film, so that's good news. He never looked like a real speedster. That's not kind of his style.
Agreed.
So, I don't know how much it hurts him. I think it will. Jawan Jennings went from, possibly being a mid-round pick to being a 7th-round pick because he ran a 4.7. So it will hurt him. He will fall down draft boards a little bit. But that means he's a more enticing, player for somebody in the middle rounds, looking at a guy who, perceivably has a lot of talent. Me and you differ a little bit on how good he actually is. Yeah. But I think that, he's a decent player. And I think now falling down the board a little bit, he'll get closer to the range that I thought he was a player at.
I don't think I had him much higher than the rounds you did, but I only had him there because I originally didn't think there was any chance he would fall down further where you were thinking he probably should be selected. Probably the case now, and it's a good chance that that's going to be the case. But a guy that is intriguing to both of us because of where he is going to be. In fact, Ant, when I was originally doing running backs, I stopped evaluating Brian Robinson. You and I talked about this, and I told you, there's no way this dude's getting out to the second round. I didn't think there's any way this dude was going to end up at 61. I thought he was the best running back out of the group. And then you were like, my guy, you might want to start looking at some draft boards because people don't feel that way. And I was like, huh? Yeah. Wait, what? Put up himself a fairly decent day, 4.53. Doesn't shock me at all. I didn't think this guy was a burner by any means, but everything I saw out of him drill-wise kind of just solidifies what I already felt about this guy. This looks like a guy that the Niners could get later in this draft, third, fourth round, somewhere in there, maybe even later.
Yeah, this is the guy that had to hit that 4.5 number because I think that is what he looked like on film. If he would have ran a 4.6 or 4.7, he would have fell dramatically down the board. His running style and stuff, he is definitely built for a certain style of run, but I like it. I like his vision. I like the way he's a one cut and go guy. I like some of the things that he does. So him running a 4.5, I think confirms where he should be. I think this guy is a late third, early fourth round pick. Somewhere in that region right now. We'll see how it develops as he gets into pro day. And of course, as this media machine starts putting out which players should move up, which one shouldn't. And also, once you kind of get a glimpse of some of the draft boards, people will start leaking out things about, where players are positioned and that sort of thing. Todd McShay and their mock drafts really do go impact these guys on where they're positioned on boards. But I think somebody will take a liking to him because I think he's a good player and he's one of those tough physical guys. He could definitely be a replacement for Jeff Wilson Jr.
You're not wrong there. He could be a Jeff Wilson Jr. replacement. He does a lot of those things, man. The vision is fantastic. He runs physically, great contact balance. But we'll get into a Brian Robinson full breakdown of the player later.
Yeah.
Later. Let's not do that now. And this is Combine recap.
Right.
And one last running back I do want to point out that people probably need to start paying attention to is Ty Chandler out of North Carolina. Put up some crazy numbers, really crazy numbers. In fact, so crazy, Ant, that I had to go back and watch film because I didn't expect it at all. I think you had said and mentioned, right, that you didn't even break him down.
No.
I think I broke him down, and my biggest thing was speed and some other things, and then he runs a 4.39, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, huh?
This is the thing. This is what I talked about on a previous episode is there's going to be players throughout this process that we have to go back and reevaluate or go back and look at that we haven't seen yet because players come out of nowhere. I've probably watched, some Division II film compared to more film of that than I have some of these other guys. So I think that I'm going to go take a look at him and see now that his numbers are up. But those numbers aren't going to do anything to define the film for me and how I see it. I mean, that might be a way to get on the radar, but if the film doesn't show it,
You'll be off the radar as quick as you got on it?
There's a lot of really, really fast guys. I mean, I knew a guy literally from my hometown that ran a 4.2. You know what he didn't do? Play in the NFL. There's a lot of really, really fast guys that don't make it to the NFL, and the ones that do, if you're just fast, you're Darius Hayward-Bayward out of there.
Ooh, yeah. Yes, you're not wrong there, Ant. Let's move on now to that wide receiver room that we were so excitingly talking about on Thursday while it was going on. A lot of guys putting up some numbers. However, some of those numbers got adjusted after the fact because the NFL got a little bit ahead of themselves and over their skis. People went from breaking John Ross's records, and shattering them into oblivion to running 4.28s. But a 4.28 is still fast. Let's not knock these wide receivers. Their numbers are still ridiculous as a group, as a whole overall. Taekwon Thornton out of Baylor was the guy who led the pack with that 4.28, and that's an incredible number there. Going
from 4.21 to 4.28 on a hand time is as simple as, I mean, it's really that simple. So this doesn't surprise me that the numbers got adjusted a little bit. I just thought that if they were putting those numbers out on NFL Network, they would be closer. I know it says unofficial time. I've never seen them this far off. But yeah, Thornton had a great performance. I mean,
still good despite
that speed is elite. He's going to be able to stretch the field. He's got he's nice and long. He's 6'2". But the problem is the weight. He's 177 pounds. The part of the reason he can fly is he doesn't carry around as much weight. But he had himself a great performance, and if he wasn't on someone's radar, he is now as somebody that can stretch the field. So you know how NFL teams are. They like speed. So he definitely made himself some money this week.
Agreed with you there, Ant. 100% agreed with you there. Who are some other guys who's a couple guys? Give us two. Give the Cutback crew two from what you saw from the wide receiver group, from the combine, that you really liked.
I think Christian Watson has to be one of them, right? Christian Watson, I think, maybe helped himself the most out of every wide receiver, because I think people had questions whether that speed was going to translate from, where he plays and the conference that he plays in until the NFL. And he goes out there and, he runs a 4.3. I mean, a 4.36 is a dynamic number. I believe before he ran, I told you I thought he would run a 4.38.
You did.
So this is what was translating to film, and he went out there and proved that he can do it. And I thought he showed a lot of fluidity in the other drills, but the explosiveness as he's able to jump through the building as well. Those were all things that I thought that were very impactful. The problem now is he's no longer a well-kept secret or someone the 49er fans are just itching to get on their football team. But now I think a lot of football teams are itching to get this guy on their roster, which means he's going to move up, because when you're 6'4" and you're 208 pounds, and you run like this and you jump like this, you move up board. So I think he earned himself a first-round pick now. I won't be shocked if he doesn't go in the first round. The other one that I really liked was Danny Gray. I was a fan of Danny Gray from watching the film. I thought he was somebody that the 49ers could be getting late in the draft, because a lot of mock drafts had him going as low as 7th round, even undrafted. And I just seen a lot of potential in that. And then he goes out there and he runs the way he runs, and he earned himself some money. So he easily went from a 7th round pick to a late 4, early 5 with his potential. Now people will really dig into his film. People who didn't know who Danny Gray was, they're going to watch the film. And they're going to see not only is this guy a very athletic receiver, but he's a very talented receiver as well.
6 feet tall, Ant, runs a 4.33, had a 34-inch vert, and a 126 on the broad jump. I mean, nuts. I mean, he tested off of the charts. This isn't a small dude by any means, and wasn't a guy that I was originally going to be spending a lot of time working on and looking at, just because I didn't spend a lot of time on SMU receivers. I really didn't.
Good.
I should, and you're not wrong, Ant, because he tested off the charts. And then when you watched him in the workouts as well, he was fluid with the way he moves and the things he does out there. I'm excited about watching Danny Gray film now and really diving into this wide receiver group. And there's tons of guys. Christian Watson had himself a nice day. Velus Jones, a guy that we're both very fond of out of Tennessee, a guy who can add things in the special team aspect as well. So we're talking about, wide receivers in free agency the Niners could sign and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't need to address free agency in terms of getting yourself a guy who can return kicks and do things. If you're going after a guy like Velus Jones, who showed the speed, showed the dynamics, looked good as a receiving option, has a lot of skill sets and things that you can develop. But tested off the charts as well. Again, ran very well. One of the top 2 times, ran a 4.31. I love that. I love that speed.
Yeah, I think the team is going to have to determine whether that speed translated to the field or not.
Looks like it on film.
You go back and you watch some of the film, and there's times it does, and there's times it doesn't. And how much is that attributed to the player, and how much is that as the coach in the system? That's what you have to decide. That's part of the crapshoot that is the draft. You're just looking for certain things, but I do think he moved himself up. Another guy that was considered a 6th, 7th round pick, probably earned himself some money, because of that speed and that athletic ability. When you're that dynamic, people want to have you on the roster. So I think this did help him. What it does is decrease the chances of the 49ers being able to get some of these guys. But I think in that 5th round area is still an option for the 49ers. We'll see if he gets into the 5th or if he trails back into the 6th. You never know how this thing is going to go, because all the effects of the combine don't always last, right? You get this initial kick up, and then once you get to pro day, if you don't duplicate that performance or expand on that performance, you slowly start falling out while somebody else takes your spot.
Not wrong, Ant. Not wrong. Let's talk about Diet Drake London and Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati. Yeah. Guys 6'3", 6'4" range. Big rangy guy. Ran a 4.41. Had himself a nice day. Looked very good in a lot of the route running and different things that we saw out of him out there. It was one of my favorite things I liked about him when we were watching film. Was the route running and the different things that he can do and the dynamics that he adds. You see the top end, top flight, primo athlete. Not necessarily. I don't think a lot of people look at him that way, but he tested like one of the better guys in this draft in terms of all the athletic measurables that you would look for in an athletic wide receiver. Guy who can jump high, runs fast, does all those things on top of the clean route running. I like this guy as an option in the draft.
Yeah, and he's not pigeonholed to playing inside or outside.
No.
He can do both. I think he's a nice option, and this might be the option for the 49ers if they want to go wide receiver at 61, if he's there. He might be going early in the 2nd round. Good. But Christian Watson and some of those guys jumping up into the 1st round or maybe the early 2nd round could push someone like Pierce down, where the 49ers will be able to get him. I know initially the mock drafts had him in the late 2nd, early 3rd, which I thought was a complete joke because he screamed, 2nd round pick to me. He's a solid 2nd rounder, and I think that this is a guy that the 49ers would be interested in. But, is he going to be there? I think 61, the 49ers feel a long ways away. But I think that this guy is to me, a Michael Pittman type comp. So that's what kind of production you can expect from him in the NFL. I think he has a little bit better body control and high points balls a little bit better than Pittman. So I'd be interested in getting this guy on the football team. Of course, I'd rather have Watson, but I think this guy is a viable option in the second round.
That's not a bad option. It's definitely not a bad option at all. Let's talk about Treylon Burks. I think this is one that we need to talk about because there's the Deebo Samuel comp that's being thrown out there. The speed, right? They're looking at, I think, size, speed, and like, oh, this is Deebo Samuel. He's come out and said he wants to mold and model his game after Deebo Samuel. I'm hearing that a lot. I saw Wayne Breeze and a couple people saying, he's basically Deebo Samuel. They've watched the film, and I don't see Deebo Samuel. I think the time was good. I don't think he had himself a bad combine. I don't think he did enough to throw him gigantically up boards or anything like that into the number one wide receiver category or anything like that. I thought he had a good combine. I thought he showed all the things that make him special already, but I don't see Deebo Samuel. Are you seeing that?
No, I don't see Deebo Samuel. In fact, I don't see a first or second round pick. I see a third round comp on this guy.
Okay.
That's where I would put him, is somewhere in the third round. I think the 4.55 is a good time. Deebo is a 4.48. He's one of the bigger, wide receivers. I mean, he carries around a lot of weight and he runs, and that's where you're getting the comparisons. It's the stout nature of which he looks. But no, he cannot do the things Deebo Samuel does. Deebo Samuel's vision is by far better than Burks. I think Burks is a good player, but I don't think that he is one of the top flight receivers in this draft. And in fact, he's going to need a specific, area to be able, and a specific team to put him in certain situations to be successful. I mean, maybe he'll grow on me. I'll go watch even more film. I'll just break him down even more. But as of right now, early projections is I think he will be a late second, early third round guy.
That's fair. I think teams are going to take a chance earlier than that. I think they see all the physical stuff and they see DK, they see Deebo, they see all these. He doesn't have DK.
DK ran a 4.3.
I'm aware, but they see the big body nature. He looks big.
DK ran a 4.3.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware. He's not DK, but I've seen DK and Deebo comparisons.
Is he as good as AJ Brown? Is he that kind of talent?
Maybe. I don't see it right now, but maybe.
Because DK, AJ Brown, and Deebo Samuel all went in that second round area.
Yeah, I don't see.
If you're telling me he can comp to be as good as them, then he's a second round pick.
I don't see it. Personally, I don't see it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. A lot of other people see it.
Yeah, no, a lot of people do. We could be wrong.
We could be 100% wrong on this. But look, I don't think he had a bad day. I think he did what he needed to do. Ant, let's go to your boy Kyle Phillips out of UCLA though.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he had himself a solid day at the combine.
Yeah, he did. And he ran exactly what he needed to run. A 4.58 is solid. That's what you need from Kyle Phillips. It doesn't need to be a burner. That's not what he's going to be asked to do. He doesn't need to be consistently winning down the field. He needs to be operating over the middle of the field. He needs to be able to operate in tight windows. And those are things that he can do, and it all translates. This is the guy that has the Julian Edelman type comp for me. I think he's got that sort of potential, and in the right system, I think he could do a lot of damage. And we've seen that Kyle Shanahan, likes to grab people like Trent Taylor and those guys that can play in those short areas. So he would make a lot of sense. So I like this guy. I think he helped himself a little bit because I think there was some people that thought he was going to run 4.7 or 4.8, and he wasn't fast enough and wasn't athletic enough, and he proved that he is. So I think he did help his stock a little bit. I still think he's a mid-round guy, but they had him what, about 162nd best player in the draft?
Something like that.
So, I mean, yeah, he's a top 150 guy in my opinion.
I think he showed why he's a top 150 guy. I don't think I saw anything from him that made me think he's not. He's fluid. He gets in and breaks very nicely. His route running is extremely clean. It's precise. I'm not going to go out there and say right now, best route runner in the draft.
Oh, no.
Not going to say that, but he's a good route runner. He's a good route runner coming in as a rookie, playing in a system at UCLA, where maybe you don't get as much attention as you like, but Chip Kelly, they throw the ball a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, and he's able to run after the catch, too.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's something that Kyle Shanahan likes. So,
he does?
Yeah, adding this guy as an alternate option from Jawan Jennings, he just is a different avenue. I think it's nice. I think he could be a red zone threat. He's your Hunter Renfrow kind of guy. He's your Julian Edelman kind of guy. He's one of those guys that makes those clutch catches, and a little bit different avenue to do it than Jawan Jennings.
Yes, agreed with you there. And Khalil Shakir. Oh my gosh, Khalil, I am so sorry, my guy. If you end up coming to San Francisco, please forgive me. Ran a 4.43. I like that number from him. I think that helped him out actually a lot. I do love his film. You love his film, maybe more than I love his film, which is not crazy to me because you were on him before I was on him. I was watching film with somebody else, saw him and wrote a note down. Khalil Shakir to right. And then I came over, we started talking about wide receivers, and you said it, and I was like, oh, I know exactly who you're talking about because I've watched a smidgen of his film. Had himself a nice day, 4.43, and definitely didn't hurt his stock. I would prefer if he didn't help his stock anymore because I would like the Niners to end up with a guy like this. I think he has a lot of the measurables. He's 6 foot tall guy, right? He ran that 4.43. He's an athlete. We're at 34-inch vert. And the route running, he was hitting open. He was making nice breaks, catching the ball in space, getting his foot down on one of the catches on the sideline as well that I saw. I just liked what I saw overall from him, and I think there's a lot of potential there. And I think there were some performances that stood out so much that a guy like him kind of gets overshadowed on a day like this.
Oh, definitely. When you have, 8 guys that are putting, under a 4.4, yeah, it breaks a record. It's gonna get their attention. Everyone's gonna pay attention to that speed. It's definitely electric. But this is one of those guys that's a consistent player. He's one of those guys you can count on. So yeah, I like this film, and I'm looking forward to continually, getting to know who this player is as we continue the draft process because there's more film to watch on all these players. Right now, we're just trying to learn who all these guys are, but he was somebody that I did enjoy watching some of his film. I think he can be a solid pro in the league. We'll see how it develops. But I don't think he hurt himself, and that's the key. He needed to run a 4.4. He ran a 4.4. Sometimes what happens with these guys is their numbers don't get your attention, but they confirm their positioning. And I think for some of these guys, that's why they're out there. They're confirming that, hey, yeah, I play at a 4.4 speed. That's who I am. And these teams just feel comfortable about that once they get those numbers.
Yes, agree with you there. And let's talk about David Bell out of Purdue because people see 4.65 and go, oh my gosh, oh goodness gracious almighty, and freak out. You and I were sitting there, we're going through the numbers. I was watching some of the highlights and watching some of the stuff, and we pulled up his number, the 4.65, and you literally just went, yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for falling down draft boards because I know you're really big on this guy.
I am. I could care less about the top end speed. If I'm looking for a top end speed guy to take the top off, then yeah, I'm not going to look for David Bell. But if I'm looking for a guy that can operate, in the middle of the field, can run all the routes and has good hands and can consistently make catches, yeah, this is the guy I'm looking for. So yeah, fall down draft boards, be in position for the 49ers to be able to grab you late because I think he could be a second type receiver option. So you could go out there, grab somebody that really could take the top off and then grab someone like Bell. That could be a consistent player for you, play in and play out as you look to improve this wide receiver room. So yeah, I think he's an option, and him falling down boards because of his speed, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because the tape says he's a really good football player.
The tape says he's a good football player. I haven't watched as much tape at the wide receiver room because I said that's my last position group that I'm going to be doing. But what I have watched of David Bell screams to me athlete, a guy who's played multiple sports at a very high level in high school. This is a guy who speed is not the number one asset for him. It's everything else that he can do on the football field. And yeah, speed's important, and speed kills. In the new NFL, speed can kill.
Yep.
But speed can sometimes be overvalued as well. It can kill in multiple ways. It's a double-edged sword. If you put your reliance solely on speed and you got guys who can't separate other than a deep ball, running straight down the field, you become very predictable offensively. David Bell allows you to do a lot of different things in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, Jauan Jennings was a 4.7. Jauan Jennings was still able to make big-time catches for the football team.
Make big-time plays and big-time moments?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a 4.65 is fast enough to do Jauan Jennings kind of thing.
It's actually faster than Jauan Jennings, and so in theory, it's faster than being able to do Jauan Jennings things. Let's move on to tight ends, and Jelani Woods had himself one heck of a day. Everyone's talking about it, as well as Shingo Okonkwo from Maryland. That's right. I got you, buddy. I got the last name right this time. He ran the 4.52, fastest time in the 40s. Jelani Woods just overall top to bottom. The measurables were higher than people thought. I didn't think 4.61 when I saw him. I watched this film and thought 4.7, 4.8, somewhere in that range. But he did a lot of great things. He tested well on the bench. He tested well on his vert, tested well on his broad jump, tested well everywhere. Went out there, ran clean routes for Jelani Woods because he's a bigger body guy out there in space. Anyone that in that tight end room that stood out from you from the combine? Anyone that you really liked or enjoyed there?
Yeah, I liked Greg Dolcich. I really
UCLA.
I like him. I think that to me he looks like a nice receiving threat. And I think that he can play inline. He can play H-back. I see a little bit of flexibility with him. I get a little bit of Brent Jones vibes from him. I'm not saying he's going to be a Brent Jones caliber player. Don't get me wrong. But he was somebody that I was at least intrigued. So I watched more film of him, and I kind of like him. The question is, where is he going to go? I don't think the 49ers are going to take a tight end in the first or second round for sure. So it would have to be somebody that's there later, third, fourth round pick. So I think some of these guys are testing so well, they're going to be out of the range of the 49ers. But once again, tight ends are just becoming better. They're better receivers. They're better athletes. And some of these numbers don't shock me, but some of these numbers are also not indicative of the film that we saw from some of these guys.
Accurate. There's a couple of guys who put up some numbers that weren't that. But Grant Calcaterra out of SMU is still one of the guys that I'm very high on and a big fan of. Now, granted, there is a lot to be desired in the blocking aspect. He's not a terrible blocker by any means. He's a very willing blocker, and that may give people Ross Dwelley vibes. And you are 100% right to get Ross Dwelley vibes. However, this guy's a significantly better pass catcher and route runner than Ross Dwelley was coming out at this time. A guy who took a couple of years off because of concussion issues, has come back and really wants to prove that he's still one of the best guys at the position coming out in this draft class and going forward into the league. Obviously concerned about the head stuff with him. Obviously concerned about the size and the build because he's a little bit on the smaller side in stature, but went out there and ran a 4.6, went out there and caught a lot of great footballs, showed a willingness to go out and block and engage in the blocking drills. Technique stuff that he's got to clean up, absolutely. Strength stuff that he's got to clean up, absolutely. If you come in and this guy's a tight end 3 year one, I'm okay with that. And I know this is a guy that's going to be there available later in drafts, like you talked about. If you're going to go after a tight end, this is a guy that will be there.
Yeah, and you've seen a tight end coming from the same program translate into the NFL. So that usually gives you a little bit of hope that one of these guys is going to be able to do that. But yeah, he's got a lot of talent and a lot of ability, and he would definitely fit into the 49ers offense and how they would like to use him as a pass catcher. He would have to develop the blocking game. That's 100%. But I think his testing goes to show that what you saw on film is confirmed, and that he's a pretty good football player, and he's got some athletic ability that the right team could use in the right situation. So yeah, I think he's one of the tight ends that we're gonna keep an eye on. Let's see where his stock, if it rises or falls, or if it just stays the same. If it stays the same, he's gonna be a target for the 49ers. If it rises the way it probably should, then this guy could be gone, in the round 3, round 4, because I don't think the Niners go tight end until later in the draft. I
agree with you there, and in a shocking development from the combine, Trey McBride is really good. He's really good in going in the first round, and
I think so, huh?
I think he should, but I don't know if he will.
I'm looking forward to getting to the tight ends. Let's just say that.
All right, I love it, and I absolutely love it. Let's go to the O-line, an area that I think you and I feel differently about not like us differ. I think we feel differently than a lot of other people.
That's right.
On the O-line coming out of this draft, because all I kept hearing on Twitter was speed. And I just don't see a lot of substance to go along with that speed, Ant. Darrell Rosenthal out of Kentucky ran the 4.88. Kellen Dyche out of Arizona State ran a 4.89.
That's the one I like. I like Kellen Dyche.
You like Kellen Dyche? I think he had the best day out of everyone and really elevated his stock, because I don't know if he was a guy that was near the top of the board for a lot of people.
And in most mock drafts, he was like 4th, 5th round.
And I think he just probably catapulted himself up a couple rounds after this performance.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't, because you should just be going, especially with the linemen off the film and what they do blocking, their short area quickness. But
it shouldn't matter their 40-yard dash time?
It shouldn't, no. I mean, how many times is an offensive lineman going to run 40 yards to make a block? But, I mean, it depends on who the running back is. But
in the Kyle Shanahan system, they run screens all the time and expect them to do that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's like 15, 20 yards that they're making the block down the field. Okay. You're not running straight ahead 40 yards.
That 10-yard split should matter a little bit.
It should, yeah, I think so. But yeah, I really just go into the film. So I mean, the numbers are the numbers. I think as long as you didn't have anything that was just crazy bad, I think that you are just fine.
Agreed. He ran the 4.89, hit a 32-inch vert. I love the shuttle and the 3-cone from him. He looked good. He moved fluidly. I didn't think stiff when I looked at Kellen Dyche, which is a good thing. You don't want stiff with your own lineman, Ant. Then they can't move around and do what you need them to do to get them to second level.
Yeah, I think Arizona State has a couple offensive linemen that are pretty good. So I think you had Herm Edwards there, so Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are going to have an idea of who these guys are. They're going to have some nice conversations. You're going to see who these guys are at people, but they have guys who fit the 49ers system, and that's what it's about. There's some guys being talked about right now that are connected with the 49ers that it doesn't really look like they fit the system. There are certain content creators that are definitely putting out the right guys. Brad is doing a very good job. Brad Graham, he's doing a good job of putting out guys who fit the 49ers system. I trust his analysis for the most part. So if you're seeing something from him, it's probably better on track. If you're seeing something from somebody else, question what you're looking at, because there's been some guys that have been brought up that are not system fits for the 49ers. They're not bringing in a guy, that is well over 330 pounds to play right tackle for the 49ers. That's not what we do. So no. Just no.
I know what you're talking about, Ed.
Yeah.
We'll get there, Cutback Crew. We'll get there. Today is not the day for that because today is a recap day. And
that's right.
Another guy who had a good day overall, Zach Tom. I haven't watched a lot of film out of him out of Wake Forest. He had himself a nice day. Is moving up some boards. I'm hearing a lot of people talking about him. And Trevor Penning, a guy that people are very high on and like a lot out of Northern Iowa, came out and put up some nice times, put up some nice stats in the vert as well, and did some other things that are making people excited about him and what he could do. Zion Johnson at Boston College is another guy who tested very well off the charts, and Bernhard Rainman out of Central Michigan, another small school guy tackle, went out there and put up some nice numbers and some nice stats. So there's a lot of linemen who did some things that impressed and showed out in a big way for some people. They'll be moving up some draft boards, definitely ensure. I didn't see anyone that tested so badly that would move down boards, but Daniel Foley not really doing much of anything at all from Minnesota in this thing doesn't necessarily help him at all.
No, when you're 6'8" and you're 385 pounds, they want to see how you operate, how you're moving. Yeah, I know Cole Strange is someone that we've talked about, Alex, and we watched a little bit of a Senior Bowl film actually together.
It's so up and down. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's like
it's confusing.
It's like great rep, terrible rep,
destroyed,
terrible rep. Great rep,
and not like this is what I mean, right? It's great. Studs someone up, just straight anchors down is fine, looks great. 2 reps later gets put on his behind, and it's like what? How?
That's one of those reasons that you think that he's more of a developmental talent.
Correct.
I think he's more of a developmental talent. Somebody they're bringing in maybe to back up Alex Mack for one season until he develops into the player you hope he is. But when are you going to value getting a backup center? I mean, unless you think he's potentially going to take over in a year, I think you have to be careful with that. I mean, they weren't willing to go center last year in the draft. Will they be willing to go interior offensive line early? It doesn't seem like it. What it seems like to me is more than likely they'll go with an offensive tackle that has the capabilities to play inside. It seems like that's the role that they go with.
Agreed with you there, my guy. And yeah, it's just Cole Strange is frustrating because he went and benched 31 reps.
He showed way more strength in the bench press than he showed on the field.
Absolutely. It doesn't translate on film, man.
No, not yet.
not yet. It could. You're not wrong there.
The other guy to keep a look on is Lindstrom from Boston College.
100%.
Yeah, I like Lindstrom from Boston
College.
When
he continues, every time he comes out and has to do something workout-wise, he's impressive.
Yeah, and he fits the system. I mean, they ran something similar at Boston College, so
it's true.
It's somebody that would make sense. And I mean, whenever you have a brother that plays in the NFL, you think they got the lineage, right?
You would hope so anyway.
Yeah.
You're hoping so anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes it pans out, sometimes not so much. And let's move on to a position that we're very excited about with this group, and that's the defensive ends. And you can't talk about the defensive ends right now and not talk about what Amari Barno did, because the guy out of Virginia Tech ran a 4.36?
Yeah,
that's nuts.
It's the fastest time for an edge rusher.
Nuts.
Of course, he fits very nicely into a 3-4 scheme as an outside edge rusher who can also play in coverage. You watch any of his film, he's super fast, but those skills at rushing the passer, he relies a lot on a spin move. The spin move is something he goes to because he's got that elite quickness. I'm not sure if it would really translate to the 49ers as a defensive end that plays, with his foot or hand in the ground.
Well, he definitely plays with a foot in the ground.
Yeah, he does do that, so we got that going for us. But I don't know if he translates in that department, but that speed alone just got everyone's attention because a guy that's that big that moves that fast is impressive.
It really is. It really is. And boy, oh boy, Ant, does he move that fast. Boy Mafi, another guy that you like a lot, I like a lot, watched a lot of film on, you have as well. He went out there and had himself a nice day and a nice showing as well. Didn't hurt his stock, helped his stock, ran a 4.53, Ant, 4th fastest time of all these edge rushers there out of Minnesota. I love the things that he does. I like what his potential is and what he can grow into as well. I think there's room for growth as much as there is him already being talent, which is a positive thing. That's an important thing, because what you want with these guys that you're getting, if you can try and get these guys 2nd, 3rd round, is even if they're not going to be a day 1 starter, where is that ceiling? Where is that cap at with these guys? There's still a lot of room there, and he's an athlete.
Yeah, he's got a lot of room to grow. I mean, he hasn't been playing football that long.
No.
He's learning how to do it, and he's doing a pretty good job at it. So I think that he's somebody the Niners are definitely interested in, and we know they've met with him and they've talked about how he would fit into their scheme and their rotation, and he definitely would. I just think that maybe he moved up boards a little bit. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be available at 61. So
might not be.
The 49ers, if they're looking to get one of these edge rushers, they might have to move up a little bit, because I think most of them did improve their positioning. And I think he was one of the ones that really did, because a 4.53 was better than I anticipated. I thought he was going to be in the 4.6, 4.7 range, but 4.53 shows the elite athletic ability for an outside edge rusher.
What he ran, yeah, I'm the same. What you thought that 4.6 range was what I thought Myjai Sanders would be, which is what he ran. And it's another guy that the Niners have talked to out of Cincinnati. He ran the 4.67. I thought he was going to be closer to that range than anything else. Have you watched a lot of Myjai? What do you like and dislike about him? And do you think he helped or hurt himself in the combine?
With Myjai Sanders, one of the problems is he's under 230 pounds now. So he's under 230 pounds and then still ran what he ran.
4.6.
I didn't like him overall as a day one prospect for sure. I think he's a day two prospect. I would think this guy would be somebody I'd be interested in the third round. I don't think he's a second round guy. I seen some weaknesses in his pass, in his pass technique. He's got to get better, and I think that there could be development there, but I didn't see the top end that everyone's been talking about. I didn't see the elite first step. I see a lot of offside, so he's got that going for him. But I didn't see that elite first step, so I think he's got some improvement. So no, he's not one of those guys that's one of my top guys.
Not a top guy, not by any stretch. When I looked at him, I thought development as well. Developmental guy. I know he hasn't been going in developmental areas in terms of where he's been going in drafts and mock drafts. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jermaine Johnson continued to have incredible rise with his stock out of Florida State, and he's been moving upwards. Right. Continues to do so with the 4.58. Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon, a guy who's a freak prospect, didn't do anything other than run the 40, but ran an impressive 4.58 as well.
Oh, he also did bench, I believe.
Did he do the bench as well? Okay.
I like David Ajabu. From Michigan.
Love him.
I like him a lot. And I know he's only been playing football for like 5 years. To me, this is a guy that could develop, and his first step is elite. I love his first step.
The problem is this dude getting out of the first? I mean,
no, I don't think he's getting out of the first round.
I don't think so.
I think there's a lot of these edge rushers we're going to talk about that aren't going to get out of the first round. And the one that might be going into the first round now is AK from Penn State. Dude looked absolutely fantastic in the combine. I thought the fluidity at which he moved, his change of direction, he already had an elite first step. The guy is super good. The only thing I had worries about was his weight, and I think that the weight will be good enough. So, I think his name's like Arnold something or other, but I can't remember his last. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I've just been calling him AK. That's been working out for me.
That's we'll figure it out. Cutback crew and get it back
there. It
to
is
you.
Arnold.
Ebiketie.
Yeah.
I got you, Ebiketie.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's where for it, but I like AK better.
Yeah, AK. Yeah, he's good, man.
And then he can wear the number 14. He's AK-14.
Put it at 47. Let's go.
Okay, well, you could literally just go there. You just go there with it, and that would also.
That's where I went with it. That's marketing right there. Hey, AK, call me. We'll have a conversation. We're on this.
Oh goodness gracious me, Tyrik Smith. You ran the 4.86. You and I both have watched film. We like him. I'm a little more, not love-hate, but like and just can't figure it out sometimes because I love the things that I see. I don't think the 4.86 helps him. I don't think it hurts him necessarily. I think we kind of all know what he is and what he's going to be. Does this mean he could fall down boards even more?
Yeah, I think so. And that's good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about that. What I'm worried about is how quick he operates in that short area. He's going to be, a defensive end, and I mean, I think he can play, at a high level. He's got some elite traits, and they just have to be developed. So you're not going in this drafting him in the top 3 rounds thinking he's going to make an instant impact on your team. You're drafting him in round 5, round 6, where you get solid players you can develop. Where the 49ers often hit big-time targets in the 5th round. So I think that would be a target for him, and if he's there, he's a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He's one of those guys that has elite traits, long arms, a lot of ability there, but it needs to be fine-tuned. You couple that with the fact that he had COVID to start the 2021 season and missed a lot of football games. And when he came back, he wasn't able to make the same impact. You wonder if that affected his strength, and all that. So yeah, the numbers aren't there as far as like testing wise. And I love it. That means affordable. That's what I like to see. Don't have the numbers, have the film. And I think that there are things in the film that pop. No, it's not consistent, but you're talking about Chris Kasarik here. If Kasarik believes he can get consistency out of one of these guys, you're going to go ahead and take a chance on it.
Agreed with you there, man. I think both of us felt the same way about the interior D-line. I don't think anything really popped other than Devontae White and Jordan Davis going 4.77 and 4.78.
Yeah.
Both guys from Georgia, both, 300 plus pounds and running insane time. Literally, if I saw that running at me, I would be terrified.
I'm pretty sure Devontae Wyatt earned himself some extra money.
Yeah.
The guy looked good in his drills and everything. I mean, he just looked really, really fluid.
Doesn't look stiff.
Oh, yeah, I liked him a lot.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything there. Travis Jones out of Connecticut, I know a lot of people are really liking it and high on it, and he ran the 4.92. That's all great and good and all. A lot of the times during drills when I was watching, he looked high. He looked high on it, pretty much everything he did.
The most overblown stat coming out of the combine is the 40 times for linemen, O-line and D-line. I mean, why? This isn't even, they shouldn't even run this. Run a 20-yard dash. I mean, that'd be more impressive. That's kind of what we're looking for. I mean, it's cool to see the big guys run. I mean, it's cool to see, guys outrun Jameis Winston.
Accurate.
But let's be honest. When I was 300 pounds, I outran Jameis Winston. I ran a 4.9 as well. So it's like, it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. But how does that equate to the NFL? It doesn't. They need to be able to change direction when they get through the hole and get down the line of scrimmage. So it's cool. It's a cool stat. But, I mean, I don't think we've been like, oh, you know who the best players in the NFL are? All the ones that have ran really fast.
All of those ones, Ant. All of those linemen.
Yeah.
Linebacker-wise, Troy Anderson posted up an impressive 4.42, but guess what? He's fast. I knew that already going into this. Christian Harris as well looked pretty phenomenal top to bottom the whole day, but one of the best linebackers coming into this thing.
Right.
Other than that, I didn't see anything that like wowed me with the linebacker group. I got pretty much what I already was anticipating out of the linebacker group. So I can pretty much wrap it up there. Anything else in the linebacker group you want to say?
Yeah, the 49ers are going to go look for a gym. So they're not going to get one of these top-fledged guys, of course.
Oh, okay.
They won't draft anyone to play linebacker in front of the 4th round for sure.
And so what you're telling me is, Ant, is that we have sleepers at the linebacker position that people are going to want to wait for when we actually start releasing that content.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's about sleepers. D'Amico Ryans and this coaching staff likes to find players late, develop them. And they're not always just linebackers. Sometimes they're safeties that can actually pivot and change to linebackers.
Accurate, Ant. Very accurate indeed. I feel like you just dropped something there for the cutback group. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Look, let's go on to the DBs. Ant, in a surprising twist, the DBs posted some pretty impressive times.
Fast.
And they're fast and they're pretty talented this year. Kalen Barnes out of Baylor ran the 4.23. TARIQ Woolen, who some of me people may be going, wait, who? Ant's boy right here, TARIQ Woolen out of Texas San Antonio ran a 4.26. Zion McCollum out of Sam Houston State, 4.33. And Ant, my boy, Tyler Ilum out of University of Florida ran a 4.39. Big on this guy, but we got to go back to the top, and we got to start with the man who led off the way in Kalen Barnes out of Baylor. That's an impressive number at the 4.23 spot.
Oh, the speed's great, and the makeup speed is there. You know how I know he has makeup speed? Because he's often got a lot of separation between him and the receiver.
Accurate.
He's one of those elite talents that he makes up that time. But what happens if he's going against a guy that has a close enough speed to be able to keep that distance from him? The one thing I worry
or that guy's John Ross and can beat that already.
Yeah, true. The one thing I do worry about is that sometimes he's just using the speed to make up for things where he's losing in technique. The technique and stuff isn't there. He's not one of those guys he's not a first-round corner, not by any means. You've seen what happened last year when the Georgia guy Stokes ran the fast time, and all of a sudden he's a first-round pick. Now, he played better than anticipated, but I don't think that Barnes is as good.
He hasn't put on the same. I haven't seen anything that makes me think he's close to Stokes.
No.
Other than the speed, that's about it.
The time is impressive, like well done. But other than that, I don't see him being a top-flight corner in this draft.
No, I agree with you on that. TARIQ Woolen, though, where do you think he's going now after this? Because 4.26, that's gosh darn impressive.
I mean, somebody's going to give him a shot to play corner. I don't think he equates to a corner in the NFL, but I think he's a safety. But that's just here. That's just what I think. And the 49ers have done this before, where they've drafted a guy that's a corner, and they end up moving him to safety. And I think that this is the skill set that we have here. I don't think his technique is very good as a cornerback. I think he's a good player, but I think he would do a lot better playing free safety in the NFL. But somebody's going to give him a shot. With the elite skills as far as athletic ability and explosiveness, somebody's going to see if they can develop him into a lockdown corner. I just think if someone tried to develop him into a lockdown free safety, he would do a lot better.
Fair enough there, Ant. Fair enough there. Zion McCollum at Sam Houston State with that 4.33 as well. I've watched some film on it. I didn't see 4.33 speed on film, but I'll tell you what, he did it in a big way. And now I got more film to watch on this guy. He helped himself out a lot today, or in the combine, excuse me. Tariq Castro Fields and Cam Taylor Britt both posting 4.38s as well. Definitely helped their stock and are elevating themselves up into space. And Kyron Williams has gone from the guy that I thought was the best lockdown one-on-one island corner in this entire draft, and really kind of solidified it for me with that 4.39. I love everything this guy does on film. Everything.
Yeah, I like him. He was one that I told you I really liked as well. I think he's a good corner, and I would love for the 49ers to be able to grab him. I just
unfortunately, yeah.
He's not going to be available, and the 4.39 doesn't help. That doesn't help the 49ers' chances of getting him unless they can get into the late first round. I think that's where he's going to go because there's some other guys like Sauce and stuff that are going to go higher in this draft. But I think he's one of those guys that has really a lot of potential. The other one is Jalen Armour Davis. I like him a lot. He ran a 4.39, so that is good. That he's from Alabama, and I think he's one of those ones that popped on film for me. Trey McDuffie also from Washington with a 4.4, and I know he's been talked about in the late first round, early second round area, and I think he did everything to help his stock and stay in that area. So I think that's still where he'll go.
Fair. I mean, his film is fantastic, dude. Him both, and Kyler Gardner as well. Or Kyler Gordon, excuse me. Not Gardner. Gordon. As well. But Gordon ran a 4.5. Ran a 4.52, and people are speed. I don't really care. Speed's nice, but what you do on film has to amount and count for something. This guy's been phenomenal. Washington has put up nothing but quality prospects. I remember Joe Trion was not getting a lot of love up until his combine workout, and then after that, even people were still like, "Oh, probably second round," and we were sitting there going, "This guy's first round talent." Yeah,
no, Joe Trion definitely was. Well, we liked Elijah Molden last year as well, playing in the slot, and I think that's why this doesn't hurt Kyler Gordon because I think he's a nickel guy. He's a guy that should be playing in the slot. I think the people that are panicking are the ones who thought he was an outside corner. I didn't see that translate so much on film. I saw him more as an inside guy. So this makes sense to me. And 4.52 is plenty fast enough to play the nickel in the NFL. So yeah, and he plays with physicality. He plays with aggressiveness. And he doesn't get beat very often. So to me, it sounds like a potential guy that could fit. Maybe he'll fall down stock boards enough to get the 49ers a chance to get him. I like that for us. So I appreciate it.
I love those compensatory third-round picks we have right now.
Oh, he ain't getting to the third round. Buddy.
You don't think so?
No. This guy's a second-round pick of some sort, late second, early third, potentially, but I think he's gone in the second.
All right, well, we'll see. We're going to see what's going to happen. And safety-wise, nothing crazy here, nothing that made me be like, about anyone. Now, granted, I've done very little safety work.
Right.
You, however, saw this list. Mm-hmm. And you have a guy in mind.
I do.
Do you want to give the Cutback crew any sort of sneak peek of who you thought did something that you were already ready and prepared for, and he jumped off the page with you with this combine?
Yeah, Dax Hill. Dax Hill is a guy that I know they have listed as a safety, but I think he could play nickel corner as well. Okay. And the 4.38 time shows that he can do that. He's an elite talent with a lot of physicality. You talk about an absolute slam dunk coming off the edge as far as blitzing and all that. This dude is that kind of talent. He's my favorite DB in the entire draft. Okay. He just jumped off all over the film. I love this guy. The way that some people were about Owusu Karamoa last year, that's how I am about this guy. I think he gives you that flexibility to play safety, and then when it's time, he's the full Jimmy Ward effect. He can walk up and take away a receiver. I just see so much potential in this guy. I think he can develop into one of the absolute gems of this draft. So yeah, he's one of the guys I'm most excited about.
I want to point something out. The NFL actually agrees with you, Ant. Will eventually be a plus starter.
Yeah.
They have him ranked really, really high in terms of metrics and things of that nature with what he can do on the board. So I'm looking forward to some Dax Hill film and Cutback crew. If you haven't watched any film on him, maybe you should. University of Michigan guy. Looking forward to it. There's a reason they were in a national championship game this year.
He's a Pro Bowl caliber player who has potential to be an All-Pro.
There you go.
If he gets into the right system, I think this guy can do a lot of things. He's a different style of player than Tyrann Mathieu, for instance, but he would be able to do kind of that sort of thing, right? Take away a slot receiver and play the safety role. So I like him a lot, and he's going to go in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't end up going top 10. The dude's just that good.
Had himself a nice little day, and it looks like a lot of people in the combine had themselves a day. It was a week full of speed, and more speed, and there was a lot of speed, some violence, definitely some momentum building for some of these guys, and a lot of them helped their draft stock. Who do you think helped out the most? Is there anyone we left off that we should have talked about? If so, leave it in the comment section down below right now, right this moment, right this instant, and then smash that subscribe button because guess what? Combine recap over. Free agency content coming your way now. Nothing but free agency up until free agency starts. Then breaking news as the 49ers sign people. And who knows, Ant, maybe Stephon Gilmore breaking news, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see what's up with that. I mean, I know it's a potential thing there. But yeah, if you're listening on an audio platform, you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Pods, go ahead and give us a rating, hopefully 5 stars. We'd really appreciate that. And if you could leave a review as well, that'd be nice. Let us know what you think. How it really goes to help the podcast. And we're trying to grow and get it out there to other people, and you guys are a big part of it, so we really appreciate that. There's going to be, wall-to-wall content as we get closer to free agency. I'm looking forward to it. Coordinators are going to look to fill some holes. They're going to look to bring some guys back, and all that stuff's going to have to be talked about. We're going to get into all the breaking news. But first, we're going to break down which players make the most sense from other teams. They were on another team last year. They could be wearing red and gold this year. I think it's going to be fun to talk about. We're going to break down every position, and we're going to go over the potential guys who could land here and just who doesn't make sense.
That's what it's all about right now. It's not just talking about the big names and the names that you have to spend a bunch of money for, but the guys who make sense in the system and the guys that could maybe come in and be mercenaries, and maybe they're done. They're done chasing the big contract. They're looking for championships now. They're trying to cement the legacy. They want to know what it's like to be at the tip top of the mountain, and maybe San Francisco is the place that they can get that done and accomplish it. We're here to talk about it all week long with you. We'll catch you in just a little bit, a few hours from now, for the first free agent video of the day. You're not going to want to miss it, in the first free agency video of the week. And until that time, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.